Hello everyone and welcome to my end of the year Q&A, although it's more like beginning of the year Q&A, I guess. I actually meant to post this video at the end of last month, but I just wasn't able to get it done in time. But here it is now, so it's all good. So I asked you guys to give me your questions so that I could answer them. And if you missed that announcement and wish that you could have gotten a question in, well, you should really pay more attention to my social media then, shouldn't you? I actually posted this on my Discord server and also in the community tab here on YouTube. And if you ring the bell here on my channel, then you'll get notified whenever I post in my community tab. So consider doing that if you would like to take part in future Q&As. And I just like to do these occasionally as a way to just sort of connect with you guys on a more personal level. So anyway, if you haven't seen my recent channel update video yet, I highly recommend giving that a watch, as probably a lot of what I talk about in this video will be directly referencing what I talked about in that video. And to avoid being redundant, I'm going to assume that you've seen the channel update, and so I'm not going to repeat myself here, at least not a lot. and you know, I suggest you just go watch it anyway, since I talk about some big changes coming to the channel this year, and I would really appreciate it if you gave that a watch. Anyway, let's get started. I'll be reading these in no particular order. Well, that's not actually true. I'll be reading them in the order that you guys posted them, more or less. And if I didn't read yours, I apologize. I tried to get them all. Sometimes they get lost, like especially the ones on the Discord. Sometimes they get lost amidst all the other chatting that goes on there. I tried to grab them as soon as I saw them, but I may have missed a few, and if I did, I apologize. Just be sure to ask it again next time I do a Q&A like this, all right? Okay, here we go. First question. Will you remain playing on Xbox and PC, or will you still play games on PlayStation? Well, that really depends on the game, actually. Some games I play on the Xbox, some I play on PC, and some I play on PS4. And it will always be that way. I will always play Fallout 76 on Xbox, because that's, you know, what the people I work with play on the most. So I will always be recording that on the Xbox, and that's where I have a leveled up character. I do have characters on other platforms for Fallout 76, but I don't play them. I just have them, and they're really low level. I have them so that I can do camp tours for people who play on those platforms, but I will always play Fallout 76 on the Xbox, and I will always play Fallout 4 and Skyrim on PC. You know, I've been doing it that way for years, ever since I stopped playing them on the consoles a few years ago, because I need to in order to have access to the mods that I want to use for my roleplays. Consoles are just not as versatile in that regard. Even Xbox, even though you can put a lot of mods on Xbox, you still can't put as many on Xbox as you can on PC, because Xbox has a gigabyte limit. And also, there's so many mods on PC. I mean, there's hundreds, thousands of mods available for PC, and there's not as many for Xbox. So I would always play Skyrim and Fallout 4 on PC for the role plays. And I will always play PlayStation exclusives on PlayStation, obviously. Non-Bethesda games, I will probably have a tendency to play them on PS4 simply because I like that console better. So even if it's not a PlayStation exclusive, I'll still probably play it on the PS4. So anyway, yeah, hopefully that answered your question. On to the next one. What is the setup you use to record your videos to Xbox? Oh dear, do you have any idea what you're asking of me? You're asking my technically challenged brain to remember and understand things way beyond its capacity. Not completely true, but pretty close. I'll give you a very basic description of my setup, okay? I use an Elgato capture card to run all my video through, no matter what I'm recording with, whether it's Xbox, PS4, or PC. And I use OBS software on my PC to actually record my gameplay since I like it better than the Elgato software. I just think it's more flexible for what I'm trying to do with it. The mica that I am using is, that I'm currently using anyway, is a Blue Yeti. Although I just got a new mic set up for Christmas. I haven't had a chance to set it up yet though, but I will be doing that soon. So when my roleplays come back to the channel, I will be using a new mic, if all goes well with the setup and everything works. And the new one that I got is a compressor mic, which needs a mixer to work. I can't remember exactly what it's called at the moment because it's not sitting in front of me and I have a horrible memory. Anyway, so it will also have, I also have a mixer for that, and it will just allow me a lot more options in how I record my audio, and it's a more professional quality as well. So yeah, that's pretty basic, I know, and I hope it answers your question well enough. My husband is actually my techie. He's the one who sets up everything for me. I would honestly be lost without him, and so whenever I have anything having to do with tech stuff or equipment that needs done, he's my go-to guy. I just get hopelessly lost and confused with anything beyond my day-to-day use of technology. I can run it, I can't set it up or remember the specs or the names or anything like that. So yeah, anyway, hopefully that answered your question well enough. If it didn't, feel free to message Mr. D on, or Mr. Dovahkiin on Discord and ask him for more detailed specs, because yeah, I wouldn't even know where to find that stuff. I know I sound pretty hopeless, don't I? Anyways, next question. What is Karen's favorite post-war food? And of course, by Karen, you mean my character in the Fallout 76 roleplay, for those of you who don't watch that. Her favorite post-war food. It's probably corn soup or corn pone. And also grilled rad stag, if I remember right. Yeah, those things. Next question. Will your roleplays ever come back? Those were one of my fave series. Yes, they will be. If you've watched my recent channel update, you will know that my roleplays are indeed coming back, and I'm very excited about that. My Fallout 76 roleplay is already back, actually, but Fallout 4 will be coming back soon, and I will eventually be starting a Skyrim roleplay as well. And for more details on all of that, you should just really watch my channel update again. If you don't see my channel update up on the main page on my channel, like if you're watching this some like weeks from now, I will leave a link to it in the description below, so easy for you to just find it down there. Next question. Are you thinking about restarting Fallout 4 builds soon? Well, again, this one is pretty much answered in my channel update as well. The answer is no, basically. And all of my reasons for that is in my channel update. There's quite a lot of explanation as to the reasons that I'm not going to be doing any more build videos, so go watch that if you would like to know more. But yeah, basically, I'm not doing any more build videos on the channel for the foreseeable future, okay? Next question. Do you think there will ever be a Fallout 5? 76 don't count. I really do think there will be a Fallout 5 someday. When, I have no idea. As far as we know, there isn't a Fallout 5 in production, but Bethesda is pretty good at keeping secrets in regards to their new games. I mean, we didn't even have an inkling about Fallout 76 until very close to release. So, you know, who knows? They could be working on one, but maybe they're not. I know a lot of people think that there won't be a Fallout 5 because Bethesda's too busy constantly updating 76, but you know, that isn't actually true. The team that works on 76 is a completely different team than the ones who work on their other games. It's a dedicated team. Those people wouldn't be working on Fallout 5, okay? You know, and Todd Howard himself has said that there will be other Fallouts in the future that follow the traditional numbering system, like Fallout 1, 2, 3, and 4. And, you know, and you're right, Fallout 76 doesn't count, and Todd Howard even said it doesn't, basically. He said that the Fallout 76 shouldn't be considered among the traditional Fallout games. It was a side project just to see if they could do it. So yes, I do think that there will be a Fallout 5 someday. It just might be a long time from now. But I am very much looking forward to playing that game, and hopefully my channel is still around when the time comes so I can share it with you guys. Okay, next question. In Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, do you have a preferred weapon? I'm asking out of curiosity, and if you have any advice on how to level quickly, I would like to know. Okay, so in Fallout 4, my preferred weapon tends to be combat shotgun and combat rifle with a silencer and a reflex sight. I also really love the lever action, but it's not available until you get to Far Harbor, so I mostly just use the combat rifle instead, because I don't usually go to Far Harbor. I just don't really like that DLC, so I don't often go there. In Fallout 76, I love the lever action even more in Fallout 76 since it was improved from Fallout 4, namely in how you reload it. In Fallout 4, the reload animation had you reloading all 5 rounds, even if you've only spent 1 round for the magazine, and that was super annoying. So in Fallout 76, they fixed that so that you only reload the number of rounds that have been spent. And that's really good because in Fallout 76, the lever action has various mods that increase ammo capacity, and if you get the double or quad ammo capacity legendary effect on top of that, you can get up to 20 rounds per magazine, and that would suck if you had to reload all 20 rounds after shooting only 1 or 2 bullets. Anyway, I would say lever action is my all-time favorite in Fallout 76, but I also enjoy the handmade rifle if I can find one that's a 2-shot explosive. Otherwise, they're pretty crap, I think. And combat rifles and shotguns in 76 are super crap compared to their Fallout 4 counterparts, so I never use those in 76. I also really like the pump-action shotgun in 76, and I ran with a shotgun build for a long time. I wish the pump-action was available in Fallout 4. Fallout 4 really has a small pool of weapons to choose from, doesn't it? Compared to the previous Fallout games, anyway. Okay, anyway, on to the next question. Oh, wait. You also asked for advice on how to level quickly. Did you mean in Fallout 76 or Fallout 4, or both? I never really paid attention to leveling in Fallout 4. I just leveled as I went along, and I wasn't in a hurry. So I don't really have any tips on how to level there because I never tried to just level really fast in Fallout 4. In Fallout 76, that's different, of course, since so many things require you to be certain levels before you can unlock them. Not to mention, if you're doing the daily challenges to earn score, you need to level at least once a day since level up is a daily challenge. So yeah, I've figured out how to level pretty fast in 76. I would generally make sure I got well rested before starting each play session, since being well rested gives you an XP buff. And then I would eat some sort of food that also gives an XP buff. I usually used cranberry relish since it was the easiest for me to make, but I believe there are other foods that also give XP buffs, but I'm not sure what they are because I never used them. Also, if you open a lunchbox, it will give you an XP buff, and if other players open lunchboxes near you, you'll get a stacking XP buff from each one. And so with all of these stacking buffs from the food and the sleeping and the lunchboxes, I would often run around with plus 150% XP gain or more. And then you just go into the highest level areas and kill the highest leveled creatures. But doing quests actually gains you more XP than killing creatures. So if you've got quests to finish up, do them. And if you're just leveling up for the daily challenges and to not actually benefit your main character, then you could just start a new character and get to level 2. It only takes a few minutes. I used to do this all the time back when I was grinding for score. You basically just run out of the vault, then run down to the Wayward and talk to Duchess. That's pretty much all you have to do. Sometimes doing that will be enough to level you once. It depends on what you've killed along the way. And sometimes you also have to run over to the Overseer's camp and craft a piece of armor in order to reach the end of that level. But really, that's all you need to do. It takes 5 minutes, and it will award you the score for that level up challenge. It doesn't have to be on your main character as long as it's with a character on your account. It will apply to all characters on that account. And you could even keep that character until you get to level 3. no, 4. Like, so then you just run into Flatwoods and you do the quest for the what's them called? There, we're in the church or in the diner where you test the water and all that. Yeah, if you do that quest, then you'll level at the end of that quest. And then if you do the quest where you have to kill the Brahmin and cook the meat, you'll level after you do that one as well. So you can level 3 times pretty quickly on a new character and then delete the character once you've gotten to level 4 and then start again. And that's basically was my strategy back when I was grinding for score. I don't do it anymore because I stopped grinding for score, but that is how I leveled every single day. So I hope that helps. I'm not sure what you wanted the information for, so I just gave you all of it. Okay, on to the next question. In any RPG style game, what is your preferred play style? Examples include warrior, heavy knight, mage, thief, assassin, etc. Well, that actually does depend on the game a lot of the time for me. I do have a tendency to play sneaky characters though, especially in new games, since I'm unfamiliar with the mechanics and the enemies, so I like to take my time and be careful. But once I know a game well, I tend to be less sneaky and go for the more warrior type of build. But still, it really depends on the game and the game's particular mechanics. Some games are better for sneaking than others, some are better at archery, some are better with magic. And it might also depend on the story that the game is telling and the type of character that best fits with that story. For instance, in Dragon Age Origins, I almost always play a warrior or a sword and dagger rogue, since I usually play the human noble origin. That's my favorite origin. And I just feel that those fighting styles fit that origin better, considering the fighting styles of the other family members. I just figure my character would have learned from them and, whatever. I sort of role play the reasons my character fights a certain way or uses certain weapons. Like when I play a Dalish elf in that game, I will always play an archer because, I don't know, just seems to fit better. I think I did that once. As I said, the noble is my favorite. But anyway, if I play a mage, I obviously use the magic. But Origins, in Origins, I usually play arcane warriors, which is a class I dearly miss in the newer Dragon Age games, where you can be a warrior that wears armor and uses swords, but also uses magic. Yeah, you can't do that in the newer Dragon Age games. Now, in Dragon Age 2, I almost always play a mage. It's my favorite class in that game. I've played all the other classes too, but most of my characters in that game are mages, and that is mostly because of the story of that game. And this is a good example of how the story dictates how I play. The story revolves around mages and their fight, and I found that I get the most enjoyment out of it, and the story means more to me if my character is a mage. I just feel like my character cares more about what's going on when I play a mage. So, and playing a mage is actually pretty fun in that game too. So that helps. Now in Skyrim, I really like to mix it up depending on the character that I'm playing. So I often play archers and ranger type characters in that game, but I probably have an equal amount of warriors. I don't like playing a mage in Skyrim for some reason. Maybe because the magic is really generic. I don't know. Like, I like there to be a story behind the magic system. A lore reason that my character can wield such power. But in Skyrim, it's just everyone has magic somehow, and some people hone that magic, and some people don't. And that's just, there's nothing to it really, so it doesn't really interest me much. So yeah, and I do like playing archers in Skyrim, but I usually go more for the thief ranger type archers rather than the assassin archers. I think I had one character who was an assassin, and I don't know, I just don't really, it's not my favorite. Even though I really enjoy Assassin's Creed. But that's different. So now in Fallout, I mostly enjoy playing snipers. So there you go. I mean, not assassins per se, but just dealing with combat from a distance kind of thing. Like not somebody out to kill somebody for money. That yeah, there's a difference, I guess. So in all my favorite characters that I played in Fallout were sharpshooters. Even though I did try many different playstyles in Fallout. I've done most of the playstyles that you can do, I think. But sniper, sharpshooter was always the one that I end up returning to for when I replay the game. So anyway, I hope that answered your question. And it was probably a lot more winded of an answer than you were expecting. Anyway, on to the next one. Favorite Fallout companions? Like in Fallout 4 only or in all Fallout games? For the sake of the length of this video, I'll just stick to Fallout 4. Okay? My all-time favorite follower in Fallout 4 is MacCready. Yeah, for a few different reasons. The first one being from a roleplay and story perspective. I think that the sole survivor can relate to MacCready the most. They both lost a son, basically, or at least they both trying to save their sons. I think from a story and character perspective, the sole survivor would have a great empathy for MacCready and his situation. At least my characters always did. I know people can play it different, but my characters always just naturally were drawn to him. And I always just felt like that they connected with him on a more personal level than with the others. Also, he's a pretty good shot with a rifle and pretty good at sneaking since I already mentioned that I like to play snipers in Fallout 4, he's one of the better companions for that type of playthrough. My second favorite is Deacon. I just think he's funny and interesting, and I also think he's a pretty good stealthy follower for a sniper playthrough. And I like others too, like Nick and stuff, but those two are my favorite. Okie dokie. Next question. What is your most favorite thing about your Fallout 76 roleplay? I don't think anyone's ever asked me that before. I think my most favorite thing about it is getting to play with some really great people. Dink Meeker, Darth Maulian, Joe, Aranora, Blue 2077. They're all really fun people to hang out with, and I just really enjoy working with them. They are what keep me interested in the 76 roleplay, even after basically quitting the game in all other ways, So yeah, they make it fun. They're why I stick with it. I definitely wouldn't be doing it without them. So yeah, if I had been making a Fallout 76 roleplay all by my little lonesome, I probably would have got burned out from it by now, just like I have with the entire rest of the game. But no, it's the people that make it worth it and make it fun. So yeah. Next question. What games would you like to play for the channel, but are too worried they won't translate into good videos? Oh, many. To be honest, pretty much any game that isn't Fallout. So most non-Fallout games don't do very well on my channel, and they never have. So I've often hesitated when considering adding different games. But, I hope that changes eventually now that I'll be taking my channel in a new direction. And again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, please watch my most recent channel update. For specific games, I would probably say Dragon's Dogma for one. I love that game, and I think it's highly underrated. But because it's so highly underrated, I don't think it would do very good on my channel. Because most people that I've met haven't even heard of it. Or, if they've heard of it, they've never played it. I've met very few people who have played Dragon's Dogma. If you've played it, let me know down in the comments, because I think it was a really fun game. So yeah, I just don't think it would do well. But I'm totally not opposed to playing it on my channel if I thought it had enough interest. So another one would be Dragon Age. I would love to play the entire Dragon Age series on my channel. I've wanted to since the beginning of my channel, but I never did because it is quite a commitment. You know, not only are there 3 games, 4 if you count Awakening, they're all very long. So it would take a long time to play through them all. And, you know, that's a time slot I wouldn't be able to use for any other videos in the meantime. And I don't like having to stop a series before it's finished if it doesn't work out, you know? I've done that only once in the entire history of my channel, and that was with Mass Effect Andromeda, simply because I couldn't stand playing it. But even if a series isn't getting many views, I still like to push through and finish it, because I don't like leaving things unfinished. And, you know, that's a lot easier to do if the series is short. You know, it's those long ones that drag on and on with only a handful of views that they get discouraging and make me, you know, think twice about it. But yeah, someday I hope that changes. You know, I know of channels that get a lot of views on their Let's Play videos no matter what they play. So I hope that happens for me eventually. I think my Let's Plays have never gotten many views is because most people who subscribed to my channel are here for the build videos. I think if I was doing exclusively Let's Plays and roleplays from the start, I would have, you know, it would have been different because they would have subscribed to watch me play games instead of watch me build. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. On to the next one. Oh, this one's got 7 questions and they're even numbered. How convenient. Okay, and they all seem to be related to Fallout 76 roleplay. So, okay, I'll take them one at a time. Why not? I don't mind answering them all. Okay, first one. What or who inspired you when you created Karen? I'm not entirely sure. Karen's interests were inspired by me, though. So, you know, Karen was a really outdoorsy person before the war, and I'm a really outdoorsy person, although I don't have the interest in firearms like she does, though I am into archery in real life. But Karen's not into archery, so, you know, whatever. As for her personality, I don't know what inspired it, really. I don't think I started Karen off with a preconceived idea of what her personality would be. I just sort of went with the character and developed the personality as I went along. Yeah, so. All right. Would you say you and Karen have a lot in common? Well, that's sort of related to the first question, isn't it? Yes. You know, as far as interests go, like I said, we definitely do. But I think she is like me in other ways, too. You know, all my characters are, really. Any character that I write or play will resemble me in some way. That's just natural. You tend to write yourself into your characters even without realizing it. I think everyone does this to an extent. You know, with some characters more than others, of course. As to what exactly we have in common, personality-wise, that's hard for me to see. I think that someone who knows us both real well would be better at answering that one, since it would be easier for them to spot, I think. I don't know. It's hard for me to put labels on my personality. I don't know. Anyway. I hope that answered your question well enough. Sorry, that was a little vague, but anyway. Did the roleplay turn out exactly like you had originally planned, or is it completely different? Oh, so it's way different now than it was at the start. For one, we planned for it to be just like a Let's Play similar to my previous Let's Plays in Fallout 4 and Skyrim. You know, we had no idea we would get so involved in the roleplay aspect of it, because that's not something that I had done to like the greatest extent on the channel before that. It sort of just evolved. So that's why those earlier episodes start with me, you know, like talking to the viewers at the beginning, doing my little intro, because that's what I did with all my videos back then. But after a while, it just sort of felt weird because we were role playing more and more and just getting really immersed into our characters. And so it started just feeling weird to be out of character at the beginnings of the episode. So I stopped doing it. Yeah. So also at the beginning of the series, we weren't doing as well with our acting at the beginning. Since we didn't start out for it to be such a serious role play, it just sort of evolved over time. And so I think it was a big improvement how it evolved too. You know, those early episodes, oh, they give me so much cringe. Yeah. But anyway. What kinds of scenes do you find most difficult to do? Well, anything that requires any sort of setup or specific story elements. You know, like if there's a specific conversation that the characters are supposed to have, or a specific thing they're supposed to do in a scene, or both. Those can get pretty complicated and time-consuming. Especially if it requires multiple shots that I have to edit together later. The episodes where we're just traveling or exploring, those are super easy. Yeah. And the hardest scenes to do are ones where we mess up, or there's a glitch, or somebody gets kicked off their Xbox, or somebody accidentally calls one of the characters by their real name instead of their character's name. Because then we have to redo the scene, and sometimes you can't, because sometimes you're in the middle of a quest and you can't redo quest stages in the game. You can't reload your save to redo things, so we have to be really careful when we're doing those. So yeah, those make it so difficult, especially in the editing room later, because I have to try to fix it. To try to fix the mistakes. Anyway, yeah. Okay, so do you have a personal favorite episode or scene? I really enjoy the Christmas episode, actually. This is probably one of my favorites. That was a tough one to put together because it's so many scenes and clips that we had to record, you know, out of order. Some of them were recorded out of order, and yeah, it was tough to edit, but it was fun. It was really fun. Having everyone together, acting and just hanging out, having fun. It was funny. Lots of laughing. I also really enjoyed making the episodes having to do with John leaving and coming back. I think I liked those because they were our most creative episodes, especially up to that point. That was when, I think those episodes, like when Jack appeared, and then soon after that, you know, John started having issues and he left, and then later he came back, and all of that stuff. All the tension between Karen and John. And that's when the series really started kicking itself up a notch. We started actually writing our own story into it instead of just following the plot of the game. So I think those episodes, the episode where we find Jack and building the house, and those ones with John, yeah, those are my favorite ones. So I'm really looking forward to doing more stuff like that in season 2. And the next one. Are there things you wish you'd done differently? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For one, I wish we'd had a better plan about what sort of Let's Play it was going to be from the start, so that it could remain cohesive throughout the whole thing. But you know, you just really can't predict that kind of thing. Like I said, we intended it to be just a normal Let's Play like I had already been doing, and we didn't know how it was going to evolve. And if I kind of wish we could have predicted that and started the series that way, but we didn't. It was not something that we could have foreseen. Well, I mean, I suppose we could have decided, but I didn't really even have a clue about role-playing that way. So, not really. I'd never done it before, so live and learn, right? You know, I also wish that we had spent more time creating our characters' backstories before starting. We made very basic backstories, and I think we could have done better. I wish I made a completely different backstory for Karen. I don't actually like her backstory anymore, and so if I could do it over, I would. I would have made Karen a lot younger for one, and have her go into the vault with her parents simply because she was their child, and not because of any skills or experience that she possessed to help the vault. So I think that probably would have been more believable. And also, I wish we'd established their life in the vault in more detail early on, but we just didn't think about it until much later for some reason. Probably just because we weren't really that deep into the role play yet, and so we just, I don't know, it just didn't come to mind. So yeah. Anyway, those are the main things that I wish that we would have done differently. Okay, so last one from Dana. If Karen was in the Fallout 4 universe, which faction would she pick? And which one would you pick? She would probably pick the Minutemen because she likes to help people, and she's all about rebuilding the world and forming communities. So yeah, the Minutemen. Which one would I pick personally? Well, from a gameplay perspective, I usually go with the Railroad because I think it's the most interesting faction. And it's the one non-institute option that lets you stay in the institute the longest before getting kicked out. And there's much more stuff to do in the institute with the Railroad without actually joining the institute. And plus, I usually like to play a sneaky character, and the Railroad best suits that type of playstyle, I think. Especially when you consider that one of the most sneaky companions, Deacon, is only available if you go with the Railroad. From a personal perspective, like if I was somehow teleported into the Fallout 4 universe myself, I'd probably join the Minutemen too. I wouldn't want to join the Brotherhood because it's so military-like, and that lifestyle doesn't interest me really. I would also like to help people and to help rebuild the world I had lost. I'm pretty resourceful, and so figuring out ways to survive in the Wasteland and make life better for people is something I would probably end up doing, and the Minutemen would support a lifestyle like that more than any of the other factions. So, yeah. Anyway. Okay, hopefully that answered all of your questions. So let's move on to some other people's questions now. Oh, I actually only have 2 left, so here they are. Is Fallout 76 worth buying for $15 on PS4 from the PlayStation Store? People are always asking me this, and really, deciding something's worth is such a relative thing. One person may love it and think it worth much more than $15, and another person might hate it and think it's not even worth playing for free. And there's all kinds of people in between. So I can't decide that for you. I can tell you what I think personally for myself, but that doesn't mean that you'll feel the same way about it. I personally think it's worth it. I paid full price when it first released, and I've been playing it ever since then. I think it was totally worth it, and I don't regret it at all. Regardless of what you might have heard me say in my channel update about how I'm burned out on the game and stuff, and I'm not playing it anymore, I don't regret buying it, and I really enjoyed my time in it for 2 years. That's a long time to play a game. Most games I play, I don't play for 2 years before I get burned out on them. So I definitely thought it was worth it. But I know a lot of people who feel quite different about it. So it's really up to you. But honestly, $15 for a game? If you can't cough up $15 to try out a game that big that is still being updated regularly with new content and not think that it's worth it, well, I just really can't help you there, can I? Just do it. Okay, anyways, last question. And another one I get all the time. Fallout 4 or Fallout 76? That is the question, isn't it? But you know what? Comparing the two is like comparing oranges and lemons. They are very similar, but very different in fundamental ways. One of them you can take a really big bite out of and absolutely love, and the other one sort of makes you pucker a little bit. I'll leave it up to you to figure out which one that is. No, I'm kind of kidding. Anyway, they're meant to be played and enjoyed in different ways, So Fallout 4 is a role-playing game. True, it's not the best role-playing game of all time, and I know some people who would argue that it's a really awful role-playing game. But regardless of what you think, it is leaps and bounds better than Fallout 76 as a role-playing game. So if you're going for role-playing, then Fallout 4 for sure is better. Fallout 76 is an online game though, so you can play with your friends, and if that's what you enjoy doing more than anything else, then obviously Fallout 76 is better for that. Both games have a really big open worlds to explore, and I think in that regard, Fallout 76 actually does it better, just in my opinion. It has a much bigger map. It's 4 times larger than Fallout 4's map, so lots more to explore. And it also has a much more diverse regions in that map. Fallout 4 is pretty much the same across the entire map, other than the glowing sea. It's pretty even across the board. But Fallout 76 has 6 distinct regions that are all very different from each other, and each one comes with distinct enemies that only live in those regions or are more popular in those regions, more common in those regions. So yeah, I think Fallout 76 is better for exploration. And in regards to quests and story though, Fallout 4 goes far above and beyond Fallout 76. Yeah, so if you're in for the quests, Fallout 4 is... If Fallout 76 has gotten better with quests after they added NPCs, definitely improved, but still, even those quests don't compare to Fallout 4's. And if you're interested in building settlements or camps, that's a toss-up between the two, I think. Depends on what you're going for, I guess. Fallout 76 has a much better build mode interface. Much more streamlined, better organized, just a lot easier to use than Fallout 4's. I wish there was a mod available that lets you use Fallout 76's build mode interface in Fallout 4. I really wish there was a mod like that. I looked for one once and I don't think there is one. At least there wasn't back when I looked. Maybe somebody should think about making one of those, if it's possible. That would be awesome. I'd totally use that mod. Fallout 76 also has way more stuff to build with than Fallout 4 does. New stuff is added all the time. Whereas with Fallout 4, you're pretty much stuck with what's there, unless you use mods. And everybody can't do that. However, Fallout 4's building is much more, how shall I say, flexible. For one, the build budget is a lot larger in the settlements than in the Fallout 76 camps, so you can build more and bigger. And there are less restrictions with building in Fallout 4, so yeah, it really depends on what you want out of the game. Like I said, they are a lot alike, but very different, and I honestly think it's impossible to say that one is ultimately better than the other. Each is better than the other in different ways. And I think it comes down to personal taste. I've enjoyed both, and I'm glad I've had the chance to play both. So yeah, that is all of the questions that you guys have asked this time. I actually honestly thought that there would be more, but I guess I answered most of your questions last time, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I did. I do like to do these every now and then, sort of as a way to connect with you guys a little bit, have some discussion rather than just gameplay. So once again, I hope you go watch my latest channel update. This is probably the most important channel update I've done in a very long time, since I'm making some big changes here this year, and I explain what those are and why I'm doing it. So anyway, leave comments down below if you want to. Be sure to follow me on social media for the most up-to-date news about me and my channel. And visit my Discord server to chat with me and other subscribers. And if you would like to support what I do here, consider checking out my Patreon and Ko-fi pages and my merch shop. The links for everything are down in the description. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day or night or whatever it is for you. And Happy New Year to all of you. I will see you in the next video. Until then, remember to play safe, play nice, and have fun. Bye, guys.